Hello, my dear students. I hope all are doing great. Well, so now exams are just round the corner, and I'm very sure you must be putting in a lot of hard work. Well, CA students, especially final students, are really hardworking. I know that. At least see to it that you put in 14 to 16 hours of studies. A little more also will be fine now because it's like the last step now, last stage rather, and you don't want to leave anything unturned. So please put in 100% now. Okay, don't forget to do your RTP, your MTPs properly. Specifically, your this attempt and last attempt, May 20, did not happen. So then that you have the RTP, you have the mock test paper, that also do properly. Okay, so if possible, try to study early in the morning. That is like the best time to study. So please try to do that. And other related, things which are there, any doubts, any problems, you're always free to ask. Okay, you can call, you can ask, you can, get in touch. Well, so today I have to put this amendment lecture as per the RTP November 20. So RTP November 20 has got like hardly any amendments, so it's like very good. It's a welcome change. Okay, the first thing I would like to clarify, Caro 2020 is not applicable for November 20 exams. Get that clear. Second thing is that your Ind AS amendments which have happened in FR, okay, they are also not applicable to November 20 exam. So basically in three chapters you have got the amendments. One is in company audit, one is in audit committee chapter, and one we have is in our ethics. Okay, so the first one let me take is my company audit amendments. Company audit, now the first one I have is government company. Basically in the definition of government company there is one extra insertion which has come. We all know government companies are the ones where 51% or more is held by central government or state government or jointly. We are aware of that, right? But 51% of what we used to always say the paid up capital. But now what they have done is in the amendment they have, for the purpose of particularly this clause, section 2 subsection 45, government company clause, the paid up share capital shall be construed as total voting power if at all the shares with differential voting rights have been issued. So if there are differential voting right shares, then you will be considering this as the total voting power. 51%, that is you have to see of the total voting power if they have differential shares. If they don't have differential shares, then you will be seeing the paid up share capital only. So this definition change has happened. Rather, there's an addition to it. This is what you have to know. Okay, this is one. Second thing which I have in company audit is relating to my reporting requirements. So under 143.3, 143.3 we make all the principal assertions, all the reporting on that. Okay, so in that we are writing in our audit report one area, one section which is called your report on other legal and regulatory requirements, right? So there we put all the points which we have, like relating to branches, relating to whether they are following all the accounting standards, and OI raid Baba, our technique, remember, all those things we have in this report on other legal regulatory requirements 143.3. So there now there is one additional reporting requirement which has come. The additional reporting requirement comes for your remuneration. Okay, so we have got remuneration paid to managerial people. So managerial remuneration we are paying as per schedule 5, as per section 197. So what we have to report extra now here is we have to report about the manager remuneration paid. Is it paid as per the section, as per the schedule? And if they have paid extra and all that, then the details we have to give here. Okay, so auditor shall report under 143 in a statement as to whether the remuneration paid to directors is as per 197. That is first thing. Whether it is paid in excess of the limit laid down under this section, and if whatever extra requirement is there, give the details as may be prescribed. Okay, so this is what the law requires me to give more reporting. But institute has said that where will you report this? You will report this under that other legal regulatory matters, where normally you're anyway showing all the I told you 143.3 assertions which you're showing. So I'll show an actual report to you so you can understand this better. Okay, so just let me show you a report of, this is Reliance 2019-20 report. Okay, so in this report you will see this reporting has been done. Okay, so I'll just take you there. So it's a huge report, like 438 pages. We'll see what we want to see, only that much. Okay, so well, this is my auditor's report. As you can see, independent auditor's report. We know the format, opinion, basis for opinion. Then we have got your key audit matters, everything we know. We have learned it properly. But right now, what I want to show you is your, okay, management, our responsibility, all that over. In other matters, here. Here you have report on other legal regulatory requirements, right? So under that, under CARO reporting, they have done. Then they have done the IFC reporting also, we know. And 143.3 reporting, right? So all the information and all they have got. We know this. Proper books have been maintained and they're in agreement with the books, the balance sheet and all that. Fine. What I want to show you is this. Point number G. In our opinion, the managerial remuneration for the year ended 31st March 20 has been paid in accordance with the provisions of Section 197, read with Schedule number 5 of the Act. So this is what this extra reporting has come, okay? This is your amendment. You have to report on this also. Fair enough? So that's about it. Then we have got again your NFRA related amendment we have. In section 132 we have got one small amendment, and we have got in the NFRA rules also they have got amended by the 2019 rules, so we have got that. So let's understand what it is. First one, in section 132 of my NFRA, uh, the first one they have inserted 1A, which they are saying that NFRA shall perform the functions through divisions as may be prescribed. So they're going to make divisions, in NFRA, so that they maybe one will take care of accounts, one will take care of the auditing, one will take care of the misconduct which the CAs are doing. All that they will create divisions and they will do the work. Okay. Also under 132.4, there, if at all a CA is guilty, now this is very important. Section 132.4 as amended by the Act, where NFRA sees that any professional or other misconduct is proved by the auditor has done something wrong, okay, and that other misconduct, professional misconduct has been proved under our ethics, then in that case there is going to be a penalty. Now what is the penalty going to be? Okay, so penalty will depend on whether the auditor is an individual or whether the auditor is a firm. So if the auditor is an individual CA, okay, then minimum fine will be 1 lakh up to 5 times of the fees received. Okay, this is the maximum limit. The same thing when it becomes a CA firm or a LLP, which is there, then 5 lakh or up to 10 times the fees received. So if your fees of that of that audit is suppose 20 lakh, then 20 lakh into 10 times, maximum 2 crores they can charge you with. So this is what the fine will be. Okay, also not only that much, they will debar the member of the firm. So member or the firm, that is the CA firm or that individual member, can be debarred. Debarred from what? Debarred from doing any other audit, internal audit of any other company. Okay, so that also NFRA has got the power to do. Okay, so let's see that. So they can debar the member or the firm from either being appointed as auditor, internal auditor, or doing any audit in respect of FS or internal audit of any functions, activities of the company or body corporate. So they can bar, okay, that you cannot do this audit or any audit for that matter. That thing is allowed. So now as a chartered accountant, I will have two things. Okay, one, my ethics will punish me, and on the other hand, if I do something wrong, even my NFRA can punish me like this. They can bar you from being the auditor of any other company or any other body corporate, or also you not be allowed to do valuation as provided under 247, and this barring can be done for a minimum of 6 months up to maximum 10 years as NFRA may determine. So you have to be really like it's become very strict, so you have to be very good in your work, do it properly, otherwise the punishment is quite harsh now. Okay, then next one we have got is amendment in our NFRA rules. Okay, so NFRA rules, what amendments we have, that every auditor referred to in rule 3. Rule 3 is which rule? Which talks about the companies to which these rules apply. Okay, we have got a list of those companies to which the rules apply. So then that if you are the auditor of that company, okay, like for example listed companies and all, then you will have to file a return with NFRA by 30th November every year in form NFRA 2. So the date was different earlier. Now it is 30th November. Every year in Form NFRA 2, you have to file the return. Okay, this is one thing on the auditor. Also, wherever in this rule number 3 only, they have also talked about banking companies. They have inserted a point saying that banking company includes new banks which have been defined under the Banking Companies Undertaking, Transfer of Undertaking Act and all that. Basically, new banks which are there. We are aware that banking sector is going for like a lot of, especially the nationalized banks are now going in for a merger, and they're going to become like a new bank now, or new banks licenses also have been issued, so then that all will be covered in this. Okay, so it's just a small procedural part that banks will also include the corresponding new banks which are as per the act which is given. Okay, so not so important, this one is not so important. 30th November every year you have to do it, that you remember. Okay, that can come somewhere, right? Then I have got amendment for audit committee and corporate governance. In audit committee and corporate governance, there is one major amendment which is relating to your resignation of the auditor. What are the procedures that do need to be followed? And this part, as well as my network requirements in ethics. These are the two more things which I have. Both of them have been covered in my RTP May 20 amendment video. So I will be attaching that video detailed. I have covered these points over there, so please you can see it from there itself. Okay, that is done. As far as my FR is concerned, the good thing is in FR there are absolutely no amendments. Nothing is there. Okay, in DS amendments have happened, but they have happened on 24th July 20. So those amendments will be applicable for May 21 exam, not for this. All the COVID related and all amendments which are there, which lots of confusion is coming in students' mind. Do we need to study? No, you don't need to study. They're not applicable for November 20. So please don't do all of that. Okay, Caro 2020 is not applicable. This is not applicable. Yes, you have very good questions in your FR, in your RTP. Please do them properly. Specifically, your RTP, MTP of May 20 and November 20. Please do that properly. The sums, the institute is coming out with nice challenging sums. Do them properly, and if you don't get something or any problem is there, you can always get in touch. That's about it then. Small amendments, hardly anything. So we're done with it now. I study well, be focused, and keep smiling. Okay, wish you all the best. Bye bye.